Welcome everybody to Dan Excelsior, the Mostly Marvel podcast. I'm your host, Ricky, with you for episode 170. We're talking Cap for Captain America: Brave New World. Joining me as always is Dennis.
What's up? That's all I got.
Yeah.
It was an impromptu show. We were
We had to shuffle things around. It's a weird week.
shuffling things around, and so like I'm ready.
I mean,
I'm
it's
here.
technically a week from our last show.
It is a week from our last show, which was also an impromptu show, but
So
that was
two
not
impromptu shows
that
make
that
it
one was
right.
an impromptu because we planned it in advance to do it on Tuesday. This one was not planned, but I'm fine with it because we have been sitting on talking about Captain America for the better part of a week. We both watched it last week in the first 24 hours that it released, and so I think we gave everybody enough time to talk about it or to go see it and talk about it and dissect it in their own different ways. Let's be honest, like a lot of people saw that movie this weekend, so we'll still give the spoiler warning, but I don't think there's a lot to spoil at this point.
No.
Right? No.
I think everything that you expect to happen happens.
Yes.
That's not a bad thing.
It's not. But we will talk about that more later in the show. For right now,
we can't talk about those Spider-Man.
We can. Because last week we managed to record before an episode had aired, and then the day after we recorded, there was 3 more episodes, right? Can you go first? I want to hear what you have to say about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It was 3 episodes, right?
Yeah, 3 episodes. And we have 2 more that come out tomorrow.
The final 2 are tomorrow.
I like the ramp up to where this is going. This show it's already signed on for 3 seasons. So we're in 3 seasons of the book, in the can or in the works. So this ramp that we're on of building Scorpion as like the big bad for the season, I think it's kind of cool because Scorpion's like, what's it be?
Is that the ramp that we're on? I don't feel like that's the ramp we're on.
I think that's the ramp we're on.
I'm pretty sure Doc Ock is the villain of the season.
Doc Ock, Scorpion, whatever.
Yeah, like the Scorpion is the obstacle before the Doc Ock. You know what I mean?
Scorpion being the vessel to show Peter the actual danger that he's in, I think is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. Well, in the context of this Peter's universe, Scorpion is the first. Well, Unicorn was the first supervillain he fought, really, technically, right?
No, he fought the guys with the robo legs.
He's
fighting
enhanced people for sure, but like
he's fighting bad guys, but I would say Scorpion's the first villain.
The first typical Spidey villain, yes. But the thing I like about Scorpion is he sets the common theme that you get in Spider-Man villains is that the first fight is always a loss, and then the second fight is him learning.
Well, it's not even that. It's he almost dies. Like this is a kids show, and there's guns and stuff.
I can't tell if it's a kids show. I can't tell. Well, I don't think it is. They wouldn't use that song as the theme song for a kids show.
Why wouldn't
in 2025? Because that song is for the people who grew up watching it back in the day.
Old ass people.
Yes, doing the art style in the style of Steve Ditko is a choice that they're trying to. No, I'm not reaching.
It's like the Batman theme song. I think.
What is like the Batman theme song?
The Spider-Man theme song.
What Batman theme song are we talking about here?
The Adam West Batman. It's just so synonymous with Spider-Man's.
Yeah, they
that-
use that Batman theme song today in a modern telling of Batman, in which they made the art style look like Bill Kane and Bob Finger's original comics. I would say that is not for the kids. That is for an older generation of fans. So yes, you're correct. In that way, it is like the Batman theme song from the Adam West time. That is not the song that people nowadays know for Spider-Man, and for
That's his
Batman.
only song. What's the other song they know Spider-Man from?
Are you kidding me? Our former friend, our former host, like Frank, would constantly sing the '90s Spider-Man theme song. That's his favorite version of the Spider-Man music. The electric guitar, all that Spider-Man. That's a really popular version of. I mean, we'll throw
Really
that out to the
popular and
audience.
more popular than the original Spider-Man song.
More popular is relative, because more popular to who, Ricky?
I
To
think
who? I'm
it's
saying
just everyone who knows who Spider-Man is.
I think you're generalizing in massive sweeping strokes,
Well,
but I
you're
think
grasping on the smallest point of my opinion of this show. I think it's a kids show. I think it's a show
I
that
don't think I'm grasping. I don't think it's a kids show. I think there was blood and violence and impaling, and I think they've said damn and hell a few times on the
I
show.
think it's a kids show, and I think it's cool that they're pushing the limits on this
I
by
don't think
using the violence that they're using
don't think
in
it's a
very
kids
selected
show.
moments.
I don't think it's a kids show, Ricky. I think it's meant for a wide audience, but I don't think it's specifically a kids show. I think I believe that is a hot take that you're having right now.
Is that a hot take?
Yeah, I do.
It's rated TV PG.
If it's rated TV PG, how the hell did they get away with an impaling? That was gore. That was bloody gore. Are you
I'm
sure?
saying it's TV PG. That's all I'm saying.
Are you sure it's rated TV PG?
Yes.
I mean, you were really sure that the Thing had 5 fingers last week, so I don't even know what to trust you.
PG.
I don't even know what to trust anymore in this world. Anyways, I liked all 3 episodes. I liked that we finally got to what I believe is going to be the correct suit. I'm tired of these other suits. I really am. So that part's exciting to me. I do think the Tombstone stuff kind of got, I don't know, it got rushed, right? Like it started as
It feels a little forced. I'm ready for Lonnie to die.
Whoa!
Or almost die in some accident where we think he's dead, and then come back season 3 as a villain.
Wow. Okay. All right.
It's gonna be weird when they change.
That sounds like the stuff of a TV PG show for sure.
Yeah. I
See,
didn't pick that's a factual point of it. It's
that's what I'm saying. Like, just because it's TV PG doesn't mean it is for kids. That's never been a rule that says that if it's PG, it has to be for kids. Do you know what PG means?
Parental guidance.
Exactly. That means you should exercise parental guidance if you're watching the show with children. Yeah. That's what that means. So
PG. Kids show. You can watch the show without parent controls. So yes, it's a kids show.
That's your line.
I don't know why you're hung up on. Okay, this is the adult Spider-Man show. Does that make me feel better?
Spider-Man show.
I don't mean to diminish it for watching.
I'm saying I don't think it's the kids show, and I think it probably is the most adult Spider-Man show that we've ever had. Actually, the more I think about it, it's like the themes that take place in the show are more mature. Like we talked about how this show doesn't talk down to people the way that X-Men didn't talk down to people. You know what I mean? And X-Men 97 even more so. Like it doesn't. It expects you to be smart enough to follow what's going on. So I'm not saying it's a bad thing that it is TV PG. I'm just saying, like, I don't think I would classify this show specifically as a kids show, and I don't think that the target audience is specifically kids, especially with the choice of music and the choice of art style and the choice of stories that they're telling. I just don't. I don't think so. Yeah.
Cool. We'll agree to disagree.
Fair enough. What about Harley?
Harley Quinn, the show?
Yeah.
That's not a kids show.
TV PG. Just saying.
Harley Quinn's not TV PG.
I know. I'm just kidding. I'm assuming you did not watch the last episode of it because I usually give the updates.
I think you're the only person ever watching that show at this point.
That's fine. Oddly enough, it was the most recent episode was another episode in which they babysat one of King Shark's children. I was like, wow, we're going for 2 this season. Okay, that's really interesting. They went to a dinner party at Bruce Wayne's penthouse in Metropolis, and Alfred gets murdered at the beginning of the party. And then shortly after, you find out all kinds of weird things, like Alfred's faking it because he wants attention. And then Red X shows up, who, if you know the Teen Titans cartoon or the comics and stuff like that, Red X is an alter ego of Dick Grayson's. So it turns out Dick Grayson is not dead, and he's Alfred resurrected him with the Lazarus Pits, and Guillermo from sorry, I'm trying to remember his real name. Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows. What's the actor's name?
Don't watch that show either.
But you know, the guy who played Robin last season, or Nightwing last season, got to come back.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Nightwing's fine. Like,
yeah, he got to come back and some more
it done?
ridiculous. No, it's not done. But that show is bonkers. And then Alfred comes back as the Macaroni, and he's super angry, and he takes a Bane juice, and he just rages through the entire apartment, and he has to go back to prison he goes back to prison at the end of the episode. And it's like, okay, this show doesn't even care anymore. It's just like, it just does whatever it wants to do. It's funny, but it's so far away from anything resembling the Batman universe that I like. Yeah, like I would like it to be done soon. I'm only watching it just to
you can choose for it to be done anytime you like.
No, I can't, because we do this show, Ricky. We do this show. At least one of us is to be a correspondent on these things. Just like Invincible. Apparently, I'm the only one watching Invincible here, even though the rest of America is. It's pretty much just you not watching it.
Yeah, I do wish I was watching Invincible, but
yeah, this season's really, really cool. I don't want to spoil a lot, but Xolo Maridueña has appeared in 2 episodes. Interesting character, time traveling characters. So there's a little bit more time travel shenanigans in this episode, in the recent season. And Invincible gets glimpses into the future again, but it's a different future. And he's just getting scared of all the possible outcomes that just exist in the universe because he exists. Just because.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to spoil where I think this is going yet. I'll give you 1 more week to watch this show. So
that's not fair. I don't pressure you to watch. I'm dropping Severance spoilers for next week.
No. I'm saying, like, we're supposed to be talking about that. We've done multiple shows of.
I don't know if you're gonna gatekeep spoilers for me, and I'm gonna gate. Not
wait, you want me to? Wait, you want me to drop spoilers?
No, I don't think that's fair.
How am I gatekeeping them? I'm confused. I don't think that word means what you think it means. It's like what are we doing here, Ricky? What
I don't know. You went off on a tangent on what is a kids show. Now
what nerd content shall we discuss tonight if we can't talk about Harley Quinn and Invincible. What do you want? What do you want to talk about? What do we got? What are you nerding out on?
You can talk about Invincible.
I think he's gonna have to fight Oliver at the end of the season.
Yeah, and that's like the story in the book, isn't it?
I don't know. I haven't read that book.
Oh, I
If it
think he
is,
has to fight.
it's
Yeah,
gonna be sad. It's gonna be pretty sad.
gonna put him down.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going. So, uh, did you watch Saturday Night Live?
I did. I did watch the 50th. I remember watching. I didn't really start watching SNL probably until right before the 40th. So I remember watching that. And I can appreciate that the stuff they chose to pull from the 50th mostly was stuff from the past decade in terms of like callbacks, which is kind of
Yeah,
choice.
I think it was more like the past 2 decades. It's
But more
yeah.
more back half.
Yeah. I mean, like because believe it or not, Will Ferrell, he's from like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
He's from the 90s. Like so, like the stuff he was doing. Yeah, it's pretty. It feels younger than it is what I'm saying. Like
that's a cool. I think the 40th and then now the 50th. Like it's a cool that show. That show should be on forever. Some seasons are not going to be great, but I think at this point we just have, as a society, need to keep that show going for as long as we can.
Yeah, it's an institution for sure. It's a cool thing.
And what it's given, like collectively to entertainment, because people come in there and come out superstars consistently. It's like this weird. I don't say weird, but I mean I look forward to Saturday nights because of SNL. Like right, like
yeah. There's been a lot of content that's come out in the last few months because of it. I don't know if you've seen the movie Saturday Night, but it's about the hours leading up to their first episode ever aired, and how stressed Lorne Michaels was that it wasn't even going to air possibly and stuff. That's a really cool experience. That movie to check out. They did a concert on Friday. It was like a 3-hour concert, like celebrating the musical performances that have been on that show. They've done several documentaries that have come out. So I've been geeking out pretty hard because, like, honestly, like when I was a kid, I mean, I know this dates me, but like, when I watched Comedy Central, like when it first became a thing, it didn't always exist when I was a kid. Comedy Central didn't have a lot of new content to air on TV. So in the middle of the day, it was just reruns of all the old Saturday Night Lives, like 70s, 80s, whatever they could get their hands on. And so like I watched a lot of Saturday Night Live. Granted, they were cut short to fit in an hour time slot, you know what I mean? So you got less sketches, you got less musical guest performances, but you got enough to get the gist of that, that show. And I think the coolest thing about it is like it's not a show to go back and watch like 40 years ago or 50 years ago. Like the jokes are not going to hit the same. And it's because it's satire, right? Like it's a commentary on the world that they lived in that moment. Every episode of Saturday Night Live is a time capsule. And so I think it's cool when they can find a way to take old sketches or old ideas that had relevance, 10, 20 years ago, and modernize them to work today for like, for the contemporary audience. It's a very cool thing to see. But yeah, I think for the most part, that show's always been strongest when it's just commenting on what's going on in the world right now. And for that, I agree with you. I never want to see that show not be on TV. But sometimes they just do silly shit, and I'm there for it too. Like watching Kenan Thompson and Eddie Murphy and Will Ferrell do a Scared Straight skit together. was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. To see Eddie Murphy slightly crack a smile and almost laugh when Will Ferrell came out in those cutoff shorts, like I saw him, like he almost broke character.
It to your point, like, and now while I try to think about it, I can't remember like a specific skit, but like when I've been watching at the point where there's skits I've seen at the same time as everyone else in the country that are now like famous, that are just memorable. Like the one that goes by to the Kate McKinnon sketch with the aliens. Like the first instance of that was just hilarious.
Do you know the one they did on Sunday? That was the first time that Meryl Streep's ever been in a sketch on Saturday Night Live.
No, that's super cool.
She has never hosted that show. I like to think that the reason she did it is because Martin Short is her boyfriend now.
It helps.
Yeah.
But having those shared moments every week, right? And then to watch this past Sunday, some of them relived on like this is the best of the best. It's a cool, neat feeling. Like it makes you feel like weirdly nostalgic for what has been. But at the same time, it was just such a cool celebration of that show and everyone who was on that show. I mean, it really, at least on camera, it appeared that they brought back most everyone that they could, even if they are now problematic.
They definitely made things awkward when they gave Ryan Reynolds a moment on the mic. That was probably for me the weirdest moment of the night. It's so funny how the times change. Like, 7 months ago, that man could do no wrong. And now it's just not a good look. It's not a good look right now. It's not a good look.
I've been off that Ryan Reynolds train for a minute, so
I know you have, but I'm just saying, like, it's pretty funny to see that occur. Have you seen the videos of like Kevin Costner giving him like just staring daggers at Blake Lively while?
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. It's pretty funny. Yeah. No, it's I definitely geeked out on some Saturday Night Live this whole weekend. I watched the concert on Friday and Saturday, like part of it on Friday and the rest on Saturday, and then I watched the red carpet on Sunday night before the show started. Like, I probably didn't need to do that. That didn't really add much to my life, but yeah. So the majority of my weekend was that. So but I did, I'm happy that my weekend started with Captain America: Brave New World, and I will say I think it's a gauge of how good that movie was that I didn't bother to think about it the rest of the weekend. Like, I was.
You're not nitpicking it?
I'm not nitpicking it. I'm just saying, like, well,
it was a good meal. It was a good meal.
Yeah. I think that's the way. That's an accurate thing to say. Like, yes, I wasn't nitpicking it, but I also wasn't relishing in any specific moments.
It's your, for me, I like In-N-Out. I don't have In-N-Out I have In-N-Out maybe like once a month or so, once every 2 months. Enjoyed in the moment, consistent. Do I think about it as soon as I'm done? No.
Yeah.
But do I look forward to the next time I get to eat it? 100%.
Like, here's the way I'll put it. Like, I think sometimes I get annoyed at the movies that neither impress me nor upset me, because I feel like there was room for it to go bigger in some way. It could have gone bigger in the wrong direction, right? Like, it could have gone so big that it was Madam Web or Morbius or Venom: The Last Dance. Like, those movies took big swings. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you can't fault those movies for taking big swings, maybe in the wrong direction, most definitely in the wrong direction. But, and then there's the other movies, that like take big swings and succeed. And both types of movies, if they really took big swings, stick with you like all weekend long. You're thinking about like, huh, that was really interesting, or God damn, that was stupid. Like you're one of the two things.
Mhm.
And I think we can blame Saturday Night Live a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, that movie was just fine, is what it was. Like it was just fine enough that I didn't get to be upset or super happy about the way things were.
I mean, if you want to just get into it, we can just start talking about Cap from there.
I was just kind of working my way into it, but if you got news, we can do news before we do that.
All right, let's bust out some news real quick, and then we'll talk some Cap. Gwen Stacy is back, and she's here to slay. This is from Marvel.com. Gwenpool is back in the mainline MCU.
Wait, I'm confused. A minute ago you said Gwen Stacy, and now you're saying Gwenpool.
Gwen Stacy in the current Marvel comic timeline is coming back or being resurrected as Gwenpool.
Wait, what?
Gwen Stacy's dead in the comics, right?
Okay.
So she's coming back to life.
Okay.
And she's going to be Gwenpool.
Why would she be Gwenpool?
She is going to be a character dressed as Gwenpool and she'll have her own comic called Gwenpool.
You know why my brain's broken, right?
Yes. So it will tell the listeners why your brain might be broken. I do not. I know why.
Gwen Stacy is not the same character as Gwenpool.
Yes, that is correct.
Gwenpool is a person named Gwendolyn Poole,
mm-hmm.
who has no relation to Gwen Stacy at all. Mm-hmm. Gwen Stacy is the former girlfriend of Peter Parker, mm-hmm. who in the mainstream comics dies by the hands of Green Goblin. And then in alternate universes, she doesn't die and she becomes Spider-Gwen.
Yep.
Gwenpool is a character who is a giant fan of comic books and then somehow gets pulled into the Marvel universe. And when she realizes she's in the Marvel universe, she goes and buys a costume. And because she knows that the costume people are the only people that are safe in that universe. So she survives in the Marvel universe via her knowledge of comic books. Mm-hmm. So I'm really confused at what you're telling me right now, but you seem to be telling it to me with a straight face. So I'm trying to understand
why.
So
imagine Gwen Stacy comes back from the dead, puts on a Deadpool-looking costume, and goes by the name Gwenpool. Wow. Apparently Kate Bishop and Jeff the Shark are going to be in the series as well, but that's all you need to know. It's comics.
I don't understand. Comics. She looks like a totally different version of
she
Gwenpool.
She looks different.
Okay. Sure. I'll not read this book.
Hey, Jeff the Shark stock's pretty hot right now, so if you can get Jeff the Shark in your comic, go for it.
Yeah. I need different news, please. This one hurts. I can't.
John Malkovich is doing some press for Variety, or doing an interview with Variety. Made some comments on why he had not joined the superhero film industry at this point in his career. Up until now, he's going to be playing the Red. He's presumably playing the Red Ghost.
Presumably, yes.
We're just typecasting him into the bald white man character.
He could be something else.
He could be something else.
He could be man.
He could be Mole Man, but there's another character, another person cast in that movie that would probably be really weird if they weren't Mole Man.
It's true. Paul Walter Hauser.
Mm-hmm. John Malkovich says, "If you're gonna hang me in front of a crane or from a crane in front of a green screen for 6 months, pay me." So it sounds like he wasn't happy with the contract terms with what he was being offered at the time. But hey, something must have worked if
So they finally paid him enough.
they finally paid him enough for Fantastic Four.
Got it. Okay. Or they didn't have to hang him in front of a crane. That's the other option.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, I love John Malkovich. I know that I've seen in some circles people are hoping he's the Red Ghost because the Red Ghost is a Russian character, and they would love to hear John Malkovich dust off his incredibly awkward Russian accent from Rounders.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a weird ass accent he has in that movie for sure.
What's his name in Rounders? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember his name. Yeah.
Is he like? Is it? I guess it's given the time. Yeah, he probably has a pretty insensitive accent.
I wouldn't say it's insensitive. It's just weird. But yeah, it's probably insensitive too.
Speaking of, or rounding up the news, back with Jeff DeLand, Shark, kinda. Marvel Rivals basically laid off their North American based team today.
Whoa.
Their entire team. Or the North American team at least. So Thaddeus Sasser was looks like he was the game lead for the North America team on the Marvel Rivals project. That is pretty successful. I don't know if you would say.
Mm-hmm.
But he let everyone know today that him and his team are basically out of a job for reasons unknown at this point, and it's kind of a bummer of a news day. I mean, layoffs unfortunately are not a uncommon practice in the video game industry, but
they're quite common in these last few weeks right now in the tech industry. Yeah, they're making way for AI for sure.
Typically, if you make a game, especially as a successful game as a service, you tend to keep your job.
No, I think once the service is in place, they don't need as many of those people having their jobs.
Yeah.
Just saying. I feel bad for everybody who lost their job that was working on this wildly popular game. But part of making it successful is cutting overhead, and so I can see why they
Americans be expensive, yo.
Yeah. That's a bummer. On the plus side, The Thing and The Human Torch come out this week.
Did you see the Ninja Turtles are coming to Call of Duty?
No.
They actually look pretty good though.
Which version are they?
They're their own thing.
Okay. Do they have guns?
They do have very violent guns and executions. It's really cool.
Okay. All right. Cool. I mean, it's.
I did appreciate that you texted me about the Avatar skins.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you before we started the show. I'm assuming you got them.
I didn't because I spent more money than I'm willing to say. But you do the math if you look it up. On a previous Call of Duty skin, they have like the 19. They have a Terminator skin, but it's like the Terminator skin. So he has like the dumbass shirt and glasses.
So you're not getting the avatars from Avatar.
They'll come back around. The movie comes out this Christmas, right? So yeah, when they circle back, I'll get another one.
All right. I just assume
I am.
You're the only person I know that would absolutely want to have those.
I like those movies more than most. I don't know how I feel about 2. I think I do rank 1 pretty high up there. Checks a lot of boxes.
That's because 2's not very good.
I don't think 2's not very good. 2's it's not good as the first one.
2's not very good. Unless you want a nap, then 2 is
It's awesome. A good event. They're good event movies, and I think I appreciate those more than most. So
that's why I thought you'd have those skins, but guess I don't know you. I guess I don't know. I guess Terminator ranks higher
Yes.
than Avatar.
I just watched Terminator. God, we watched like last weekend. We watched it. It was on TV.
Okay.
Our one channel we get still from over there, and I was like, this movie's still pretty badass.
I mean, yeah, it's a badass movie. I'm not
living where we live in the LA area now. It's fun to watch older movies like that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's around the street.
Yeah, I will never knock Terminator. I think Terminator is a significantly better movie than Avatar or Avatar 2. But
They rank higher on your James Cameron list. Oh no, he didn't do the first one. He did too, right? Or he did the first one.
He did the first. He did the first one and the second one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he endorsed the fifth one.
I don't think that movie's bad.
It's not good. It's not good.
Is Salvation the third best Terminator?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say
Wait.
Wait, that most recent one is actually the sixth one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Terminator 1, 2, 3, Salvation, Genesis, Dark Fate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the sixth one.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. But the sixth one is meant to be the third one.
Yes.
Yeah. No, Salvation's probably my third favorite one of the three. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Avatar, way low on my James Cameron list. Way low.
Really? I have not seen The Abyss.
Way higher.
I feel like I need to see The Abyss.
The special effects in The Abyss don't necessarily age well, but the movie itself is excellent. Yeah. It's a great movie. That one, I would put Titanic way above Avatar also.
Really?
Titanic's an excellent movie.
What was after Titanic? What did you do between Titanic and Avatar?
No, I don't think he did. I think
he got all his money and went to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, no, I think that Titanic is what drove him to become obsessed, like even more so with the ocean and stuff. The Abyss kind of did too, but like ever since the Abyss, he's been obsessed with the ocean. And then Titanic, I mean, he went to the trouble of like actually excavating, like the Titanic. And so I don't think there was a movie between Titanic and Avatar.
There was not.
Yeah.
Ghost of the Abyss? No.
Mm-mm.
No. It's a documentary. It's a documentary about the Titanic.
Yeah, he just got obsessed with the Titanic.
And then he did another documentary about the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There is no movie between those two. That's how much time he spent.
You know what's funny? I've never seen The Abyss. I've never seen Aliens. I've never seen I've seen True Lies at a car dealership, but there was no audio. So I'm just watching Jamie Lee Curtis in her underwear while I'm sitting for my loan to be approved.
True Lies is fantastic. That is an excellent James Cameron movie and Schwarzenegger movie. You should watch those.
I should.
But in the meantime, you want to talk about the other thing we watched?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Captain America, Brave New World. So fitting that it came out on President's Day weekend. Also Black History Month.
Yeah, it's kind of a twofer, right?
And
Valentine's Day.
And Valentine's Day. They're checking boxes here.
Yeah.
Starring Anthony Mackie, Harrison Ford. Is it Tim Blake Nelson, right?
Tim Blake Nelson,
Giancarlo Esposito. Who else am missing?
Carl Lumley.
Carl Lumley. Is it Danny Reyes, or that's his?
No, you're the character who plays Joaquin Torres.
Yeah, Danny Reyes. Yeah,
is his name Danny Reyes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Joshua Rockmore, Shira Haas. Who else? Sebastian Stan.
A lot of Captain American friends.
Yeah. not the guy who plays Elijah Bradley. He's not anywhere to be found in the movie.
What?
The
Oh,
grandson
the
of
Patriot.
Isaiah.
Yeah, the Patriot. Yeah, no
Yeah,
Patriot.
he was supposed to be he was cut. He was cut from the movie.
I
He was
mean,
supposed. There's a lot of people that were cut. Yeah,
they cut Rosa Salazar.
they cut. They cut.
Roman Reigns.
No, not Roman Reigns. Seth
Seth
freaking
Rollins.
Rollins. Yeah. They cut them. They cut. Amadeus Cho.
They cut Cho.
Yeah,
he's the kid from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but in fairness, like yes, there was a lot of reshoots and a lot of editing of this movie. Depending on how much you care, you'll notice or may not notice those edits.
Most works of arts use a reductive method, so
yeah. But I will say, I think the movie works for what they kept in it. I know the main complaint I've heard more recently is like, because a lot of, it's like, it's the world you live in, right? Is that you love hearing the behind the scenes stuff. And a lot of people nowadays do because of the internet, right? The internet makes a lot more information available. Back in the day, you go watch a movie and you're just like, I liked it or I didn't like it. And that's it. That's all you get to know. But now everybody knows, oh, there was so much trouble. This is the product of the writer's strike, right? This movie?
A little bit. The math equation of the story, or if you're in art, the color theory wheel, it's all sound. This happens, then this happens. Because of that, this happens. Like nothing. It is kind of knowing what we all know on the outside what happened with this movie. Like way over budget. They shot it apparently like twice.
Yeah,
it's a fine movie.
I'm saying if you don't know any of those things, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
It's a very straightforward movie. It's very paint by numbers. Like I think they did themselves no favors by letting us know that Captain America will fight a Red Hulk at the end of this movie. I can't help but wonder about the world that we could have lived in where that was a surprise for the first few days. You know what I mean? Like how much better would that have been? But at the end of the day, I don't think surprises should be what make a movie good or bad. So it was probably the right decision. They probably got more seats or more butts in the seats because they showed off the Red Hulk, right? Like that was a big draw. So, but yeah, it's not a spectacular surprise that they're building up to that through the whole movie, and other than that, there's not a lot of surprises. So you just have to be okay with the fact that it's a very thin political intrigue type of movie where, somebody is puppeteering, people in high positions of government.
Not somebody, it's the leader and the leaders.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the reveal in the movie, right? Is like that you find out that the leader is aka Samuel Stearns, which is the character that Tim Blake Nelson played in The Incredible Hulk. He got some gamma goo in his brain. He became super smart. He became able to predict outcomes or probability.
Is that a leader trait? Because he seems pretty in on those probabilities.
I mean, I just remember him being super smart, but not really, because he always loses to the Hulk. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, it's kind of an oxymoron. Like, or like, he's got this giant brain, and he's supposed to be smart, but at the same time, it's not really an oxymoron. But you know what I mean? Like, it's
well, he doesn't. He really doesn't like. He doesn't lose in this movie, and I think that
right.
part
we were talking about that yesterday, right?
That alone makes it interesting, at least to me.
I was arguing in favor of the leader in this movie because he actually does achieve his goals, right? Like his grievances are very focused on Ross. General Ross. Yeah, played by Harrison Ford. And I think, Ross and he have a lot of history. You learn that there's even more history that we didn't know about in this MCU, because Ross has been using him for over a decade now, almost 2 decades, for whatever he desires, like whatever needs he has, and not sexual, just to be clear.
Well, it adds kind of a neat little insight layer, right? On okay, Ross probably didn't fully come up with the Sokovia Accords,
Yeah.
right?
I think the weirdest part for me, if I had to nitpick anything at all, it's that Ross started as a very non-sympathetic character when we met him in The Incredible Hulk. And then when the Civil War stuff happened with the Sokovia Accords, he was still not sympathetic, right? Like you're like, yeah, but you're the bad guy, but I see you failing upwards in amazing ways. And then I don't know if, like, maybe I read it wrong, or maybe I just saw him as kind of frail, and maybe I saw potentially that the actor was not looking healthy. But by the time I got to Black Widow, I kind of started seeing him as potentially, maybe he's not the worst person ever. You know what I mean? Like maybe I misread that, but like
I got the same sense. He was a heel to the Avengers and their ways,
but he
right?
wasn't necessarily a
We gotta
bad
do it by
guy, right?
we gotta do it by the book,
Right.
but there wasn't anything sinister, and I think what this movie does
Is it peels back a layer,
it
right?
peels back that layer, and it gives him that's now sinister trait to, he is. It gives him a sinister trait that's not only works to make him a villain, but it also it's not like he like nuked a different country or did like some type of like war crime.
Right. I mean,
He,
what happened to him was he got played, right?
yeah,
He got played by the leader. Like
but
he got
he essentially tortured a guy for 16 years, and
yeah, and
that line of story alone gives me personally, okay, it's a clear answer why the leader wasn't around for 16 years, right? And then to
right.
your point, it's like, okay, yeah, this dude's kind of a shitty person. Was it
Yes.
in service of a greater good? 100%. But is that still a shitty thing to do to a person?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think that the cool thing about this movie is that, like, it doesn't force me to wrestle with that, because like my brain did break a little bit when it's like, wait, I thought we were trying to make Ross a redeemable character
Mhm.
throughout this whole 16 years. And then suddenly you find out he's been a piece of shit for this entire 16 years. But like you said, like it's more complicated than that, right? He was doing it in service to what he believed is the greater good, which is a lot of bad things are done in service to greater good. And also, like, I think the important thing to not lose sight of is, yes, he makes a colossal mistake in this movie. He ends up throwing a giant Hulk tantrum on top of the White House. He ends up like really uh, doing some heinous shit in this movie. But the most important thing is, at the end of the movie, he chooses to serve time
Mhm.
for everything he did, right? And I think that's his redemption. That's the redemption of
Yeah.
Ross right there. And we get the validation by Liv Tyler's character, Betty Ross, finally coming to visit him after all this time. She's been ignoring him, even though he's been president of the United States for
Mhm.
I don't know how many years, whatever, stuff like that, or months. It's been months, right? We
100
saw
days. It's his first
yeah,
100
it's
days.
his first 100 days, exactly,
Mhm.
yeah. But no, as again, it's kind of because they speed through things. Like it's a fast movie.
Mhm.
But like if it had gone slower, I would have been like, hold on, like what's going on? But I think the pace of the movie allowed me to get my answers and get my resolutions fast enough that I'm not going to really hold them accountable for the things that they just revealed to me. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, all right, cool. Leader's still alive. All right, I'm good.
Mhm.
Ross is still alive. Okay,
It's kind of
I'm
funny at
good.
this point. We're like, granted, this is kind of one of my only gripes in this movie too. Is after the Isaiah attacks the president or attempts to assassinate the president, and Sam goes and meets with him. Ross kind of shows his true colors at that point to Sam. Like, I don't need like the Avenger stuff's bullshit. I just needed you on my side, kind of.
Yeah.
But when Sam's like, this could be mind control, and Ross just like immediately brushes that off as if like that is not just like a known thing
I
in
know.
this world
I know. After the
on multiple fronts.
as you have a red room trainee in your staff, you
Mind
know what I mean?
control? Nah.
Like that's like 100% what Ross helped Natasha like clean up after she destroyed the entire red room because they were guilty of decades of mind washing or brainwashing. Nah, that's not a thing. You know, yeah, sure. The movie has faults for sure. It does. And
But
that's but I couldn't get
the
angry
pace,
at him enough.
yeah, you can't get angry. It's consistent with this tone. It's consistent with its story. Like even the little back to Isaiah scene when he gets arrested, he just realizes, well, prior to that, when they're going to the White House, Isaiah talks about the suit, right? The suit he's wearing, the suit he got married in, very special to him.
Mm-hmm.
He gets arrested, and the first thing he says is like, "Take care of the suit."
Yeah.
Like, and that's at that moment with just those little lines of dialogue just hits 10 times harder than it would have had. And then at the end when he busts out, what's Sam holding? He's got the suit with him. It's pressed.
But I think you're about to hit on it right there. I think there's a reason why I don't complain about a lot of the little things of the movie, and it's not just the writing. It's freaking Sam. I think Anthony Mackie did exactly what I needed him to do. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if I told you. No, I didn't tell you because last time we talked was last Friday. On Thursday and Friday before seeing this movie, I rewatched all of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I got reminded about how awesome that show was, and how awesome it is, not just because of Bucky and his cool story, but more importantly, like Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson. I got to see what makes Sam different from all the other superheroes in that universe, and it's his freaking optimism, right? Like that's his superpower, is he constantly believes that we can find a way to resolve conflict, and he more often yeah, we can do better. That's what he believes, and more often than not, he wants desperately to try to resolve conflict with words. You know what I mean? And I think like it's a pretty, like, you can't get mad at Sam Wilson for trying to beat the Red Hulk with words and simultaneously go and think it's super awesome that Peter Parker decided to try and heal all of his villains in No Way Home. You know what I mean? I think both of those are equally awesome, and they deserve credit for being the type of superheroes that we should be seeing more of. You know what I mean? Like that is so cool that they use the power of emotions, and he talked a Red Hulk down. Like he was never going to beat a Red. I think we even joked about this several times on the show. We're like, I know vibranium suit and everything, but even then, right? Like even then, when the Red Hulk starts ripping the vibranium suit apart, you're like, okay, maybe this is not going to work, right? Maybe the vibranium suit has its limits.
It's neat to see that be Sam's superpower, and this movie did a really nice job of like showing that he's fully adopted that mantle of Captain America.
Yeah,
like some of the bits where he's in the bar, he's on the base, and the other service members are like, "Hey, what's up, Cap?" Like, "Oh, I'm gonna do Cap a favor real quick." Like that, those little things are to me were super super cool because like that tells me that in that world he's put in the work. Everyone knows and accepts that like this man's Captain America.
Yeah, or also that world desperately needs a Captain America, and they are 100% willing to accept that one as their Captain America, because you could do a lot worse than Sam Wilson, right? You could.
Like Captain America asked me to do something, I got to do it. That's my mission.
And yeah, there might be people that say you're not Steve Rogers. So what, dude? That's fine. We know he's not. We could plainly see he's not Steve Rogers, and that's
I
okay.
I
You know
I'm
what I
I
mean?
am happy that line only ever came from from
From
them or
Ross.
from Ross.
Yeah. Right, but you know that there's people watching that movie that feel that way,
Oh yeah,
and you
yeah.
know it when you see like the Rotten Tomatoes scores for this movie, and I can't help but think about like the content of this movie, and you know that we have a black Captain America that's using power of getting in touch with people's feelings to save the day. I think there's an entire section of America that is not going to be on board with that as the narrative. You know what I mean? Like that's
Mhm.
just the sad thing. And but so it's unfortunate to know that like it was getting review bombed just last week, and here we are. We come out of the weekend, and it's obviously like super successful. Like you know, it's like the second highest grossing Captain America movie, I believe it is,
Mhm.
right? Something like that. Yeah. So cool. Thanks for all your hate, all the hate, people. I'm so glad. So glad
It's
you.
we always ask, right? Does the stock of Captain America go up or down, or stock Sam Wilson's stock go up or down? He comes out pretty high in this movie. Like I'm
Yeah,
excited to see what he does next.
and now he's got a purpose, right? He
Yeah.
wants to form the Avengers. Like that's
Mhm.
he does see a reason for the Avengers to exist again, and so that's his mission going forward. And so, I appreciated that the plot moved forward after all this time. You know what I mean? Like I know people have been bitching about like it's been 4 years with that celestial head and hand sticking out of the water.
And they didn't
Why?
really. It doesn't play that much. I mean, they get adamantium's the other big MacGuffin, right? It's like
It's a MacGuffin.
we know adamantium now exists in the MCU,
I
and
think we
that
need to be careful. These MacGuffins are getting a little tired because, like, I started thinking about it. Like, don't get me wrong. I fully accept all MacGuffins in the comics, but I
Mhm.
think you know you got to be careful with how often you drip feed them
I
in the
like.
MCU.
I think it makes sense, especially post Wakanda Forever. Like
But it's
the
funny.
Wakandans are not giving up vibranium.
But it's funny that you bring that up because if you think about it, the plot of this movie is basically the plot of Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
It's the Americans versus another nation, and they're trying to compete over control of this, you know,
I mean, the
unobtainium, basically. You know, like
Talokan didn't like really. And they got vibranium, but like they weren't fighting for vibranium. They were just fighting. They were just beefing
I
because
mean, they were
yeah,
beefing for sure. But
but
the inciting incident was Americans were trying to claim vibranium that they learned about in the ocean, right?
yes.
Yes, and then it started a whole, you know, potentially on the verge of a World War III kind of thing.
Mhm.
I did think it was crazy how close this movie got to a World War III. Like it got close, man. We started shooting down
That
Japanese fighters in this movie, and I was like, "What the hell is
I mean,
happening
Sam was
here?"
saving them.
I know,
Sam was saving
I
them. It
know.
was cool to see Sam jump in the action in that
He
moment.
stopped World War III in that movie,
Yes. It
and I
was
thought that
also
was super cool.
equally as cool to see, and it doesn't happen, but like the president in a battleship commanding troops or commanding, on the
Yeah,
front line of war. That was kind of like that's Harrison Ford, president
yeah.
in his prime.
Again, the most magical thing of that movie is that the president of the United States takes accountability for all of the crimes he committed and chooses to serve out his jail time. Like
I mean,
that's
he's
that's
he's a man of country, all right. And you gotta
I think in 2025 that's quite a
no,
reach. It's quite a reach.
yeah, we're not gonna see that happen.
Yeah. So I
Sam maybe would not have stopped those missiles.
yeah, probably not. Probably not. But and then shout out to, you know, Joaquin Torres as Falcon. I thought that character was super cool too. Like I really like the chemistry. Is it as good of chemistry as it is, you know, Bucky? Hell no.
No,
You know, but that's okay.
the
Bucky's got to go do his own thing, you know.
the monologue at the end, I think, is what sold it for me, and it's kind of a cool, unique MCU thing at this point where we're getting to the point where these heroes are old. They've been around for a while. So
Yeah.
Joaquin basically mentions to Sam that he looked up to him as a kid, and now he gets to fight side by side with Captain America.
Yeah.
And on Sam's end, that validates everything he's doing. Further cements the symbol that he's now become.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool little. They didn't really interact that much in the show.
No. And then I think the only other point I wanted to touch on because of rewatching Falcon and Winter Soldier before I got to this movie, I thought it was really funny that a big complaint I've been hearing last week about this movie is that like it's Incredible Hulk 2 but without the Hulk. And I just wanted to contextualize that because I know you've heard me say this before, but like I watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, and as a reminder, the plot of that movie or that show is that Tony did a snap after Thanos did a snap. A lot of people came back. Tony died. And then Steve also pieced out. And he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Bye. And and so what you have is like,
I mean, technically at this point, the Hulk kind of pieced out too for a little bit.
Yeah, too. Also, the Hulk kind of pieced out too. So what you have is about 4 billion displaced human beings on this planet, let alone all the other animals on this planet too, right? That have now returned. You've got a crisis like unlike any other we've seen on this planet that the governments are trying to figure out how to resolve. And you got Bucky and Bucky and Sam are left holding the bag. And so the show becomes them having to help clean up the messes of all these other, superheroes and supervillains and stuff like that. So I don't think it's out of the realms of reasonable that kind of has become this Captain America's job, is he has to clean up the messes that nobody else is. So once again, we have a bunch of big old sloppy mess from the Incredible Hulk that's never been resolved. And who's going to clean it up? It's going to be the guy that cleaned up the last freaking mess too. You know what I mean?
People, I encourage people to watch the scene, quick minute scene of how the leader got created or how he got his powers in the Incredible Hulk movie.
It's not Bruce Banner's fault.
Bruce Banner,
all.
They're buddies.
Yeah, they're cool. Buddies. They're it's not his fault.
He's got no beef with Bruce Banner.
Yeah, and so that makes it kind of weird, right? To assume that this should have been the sequel to Incredible Hulk. I'm like, I don't know. In canon, Samuel Stearns has no reason to be upset with Bruce Banner at all, right? Like,
to further it, Ross, I mean, in Ross's eyes, Bruce didn't break the Sokovia Accord, right? Like, Bruce was off planet.
Yeah. But Ross had a lot of beef with Sam. Yeah. A lot of beef with Sam and Bucky and Cap. Those were the three, right? Like, and
put him in jail.
And Natasha. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, those were the people that were opposing him. So it almost could have been an enemy of my enemy thing, like it almost kind of was like the leader did kind of help.
Well, Sam makes it very clear in that movie from the start he does not trust Ross.
Yeah.
But Sam being like, oh my god, talking to another scene I loved in that movie when they're on the ship where Sam finally figures it all out and he's like, yo, President, Mr. President, can we talk in private, or do you want me to like say it here? And it's like he could have just ended that man's career at that point.
Yeah.
But chose to like give him the dignity of like of explaining himself.
He took the high road every time, dude. Every time. And so I just think it's weird that like I think the problem we're still having is a lot of people that are jumping the gun to say this movie's shit or this movie's like terrible. Like, they're still comparing it 1-to-1 to the comics. And I don't think it's fair anymore. Like, I think the MCU has been really deviating from the comics for many, many years now. Mm-hmm. Like, so many years that I think the fun of it is that we don't know how things are going to play out because it's no longer like the comics. So it's okay that the Hulk wasn't in this movie with a bunch of comic book Hulk villains, because they're really not his villains right now in this story anymore. You know what I mean? They haven't been for a long time. And so I think, yeah, I think you can find ways to be upset at this movie if you want to hold on strongly to these notions of these books that you read a long time ago as a kid, and like, but or as an adult, whatever. But it's just not that anymore. This is, yet again, this is chapter 35
I mean,
in a long story
is
that's going to keep going, and it's bonkers.
who's the Sentry though of villain of?
The Sentry, who's the
Yeah,
Sentry of Villaina? I
yeah,
mean, he's kind of like a hero and a villain of the Avengers.
right. So, are people upset that he's fighting the Thunderbolts, the not Thunderbolts, right?
I mean, yes, there are people who are upset about that because they don't understand why, how those people could even stand a chance of beating him. Probably the same way freaking Sam Wilson beat the Red Hulk.
With
That's
magic
probably
metal,
it's probably how.
magic metal in a dream.
I think more the dream part, or the power of friendship is, I think, the point we're getting to. So it's cool. Like, I like this movie. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it again. I do think the 40X was super fun. I enjoyed especially the action with Sam every time he's flying. Like, those scenes reminded me of Top Gun Maverick.
Flying scenes were really good.
They were really good.
I did like a scene with Giancarlo. It did a good job of showing that he's more than capable without the suit.
Yeah,
that moment felt very intentional.
That guy got stabbed by an axe, dude. He got stabbed by an axe. That was pretty cool. Yeah, no, the action's very serviceable. Like, it's like, is it as awesome as the Winter Soldier? No, dude. Like, that, we got to stop comparing everything to the Winter Soldier. It's not like, that's too high of a damn bar. It's too high of a damn bar. The Russo brothers were not directing this movie. It's not going to come. It's not going to hit that bar. It's just not. Like, every time the Russo brothers cooked, it was way better than everything else we got, pretty much. So let's just look forward to the Avengers movies in a couple years.
Let me ask you, is this the worst Captain America movie?
No.
2's number 1.
2 is the best one. I think you can make an argument for, like, and don't get me wrong, when I say worst, I think they're all good. Yeah. I think all 4 of them are good. But is
this better than Civil War?
I think the argument could be made that Civil War is the worst one because it's kind of like not a Captain America movie. Like, it's kind of barely a Captain America movie, and also, like, there are some things that they could have resolved in that movie by just talking to each other.
It's like, we gotta pad out these contracts. That's what that movie was.
Like, if the Falcon was present for just a few more of those interactions, like, that movie would have gone very different. You know what I mean? Like, it gets violent really fast for almost no reason in those movies. Like, I'm not saying I don't love the action in Civil War, but it does kind of loses its focus a little bit in that movie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna take shit for even saying that that's the worst Captain America movie. But do you get it? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's
bigger than Cap, for sure.
Yeah. Like, it's definitely, that movie's the most fun Captain America movie for sure. But it's not necessarily the strongest story of the 4, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying Brave New World is a strong story either, but I don't know. But it's a little bit more. It's tighter. It's a tighter story than Civil War, right? Civil War's got 18 billion characters in that movie, and they all have something to say, and that's just too much. It's just too much. So, but I won't hate on the first one ever again. Like, that movie's great. I'm glad. So
that movie's great. This movie's great.
I think this movie's solid. I don't know if it's great, but it's solid.
This movie's solid. I think we wrap it up there. What are we talking about next week?
I think if you
Spider-Man?
want to, we can talk about Spider-Man and the Avengers.
We can talk about the Avengers.
I think we've been building up to it. I think it'd be cool to go back to that one. We got the Avengers and the finale of Spider-Man, and the week after that, I think, is when Daredevil is back into our lives.
March 4th.
I'm so excited. So I think we go big next week. Let's go big with the Avengers, and then
All right.
and then I dedicate my life to Daredevil for the next 13 weeks or whatever.
A little Avengers before we lock in for 16 weeks.
Don't forget to go pick up your new copy of Gwenpool #1 whenever that comes out. Oh, in May.
Yes.
It's in May. It looks so ridiculous. I can't. All right,
Well,
I'm done.
We're done. He's done with that. True Believers.